Hello scientists, my name is Mr. Flores and today we will be doing an amazing experiment together. So what if I told you that I can make this needle float on water, right? So I want you to ask yourself, does metal usually float? Why or why not? And as you're answering yourself that question, here's another one. I want you to challenge yourself and ask yourself, why does a needle float, right? There's a lot of reasons why the needle will float. And then after that, I want you to think if the needle will float or sink. So I want you to see different ways of why it would either float or sink. I want you to start thinking about those answers to yourself. So before we test this out, I want you to make a prediction. So pause the video. But as you're making this prediction, write it down so you won't forget, or talk to your partner next to you and share your prediction. So now, pause the video. So now, I want to show you the materials that I gathered. So make sure you have 5 needles, sewing needles with you, right? And then some napkin to keep underneath your cup of water. Then you're going to need an empty glass, and then you have to put water in the glass. Make sure you don't fill it up all the way. It's right where it's about to fall out the edge. And as you're filling out, make sure the water, once you're done, to have the water completely still. You don't want it to be moving and whatnot, because then that will be affecting our experiment. All right? So now I want you to watch carefully as we try to put these needles first in, right? We're gonna try 4 different ones. So the first needle, right? Would it be smart to put the needle like this in the water? No, right? It's gonna go immediately in. What about if I grab this needle and I try to make it lower? Nope, it's still gonna fall in, right? What happens if I put the needle, this needle, and I try to gently put it, right? It's still gonna fall in. Here, we're gonna try one last time, see if it gently stays. Have to be extra gentle. Nope, it's still gonna fall in. So now I want you to see, right? I want you to grab a piece of tissue. And now make sure that you place your needle on it. Make sure it's completely dry too. Make sure you place your needle on it, on the tissue. It fell down. And that one. Piece of paper, and then put the needle on it, right? And then gently put it onto the water, right? Now you see why is the tissue is holding up the needle, but the thing we want to do is have the tissue go down. So usually you can wait, or you can push it with your finger, but it's recommended you grab another sewing needle and just gently poke at it, right? Just make sure you gently poke at it. Try to make it fall down without making the needle fall. And then look at that. Right? You're able to see the needle still staying floating, and all the other ones are down below, sunken down. Now you're asking yourself, why? That's weird. Why do you need the tissue, right? So this is where we start answering ourselves and then start answering, right? So let's talk about what happened, right? It's because of something called surface tension, right? So the water molecules stick together at the surface, forming like a kind of invincible wall or skin that can't be penetrated. So if we're careful, that skin is still going to stay together and hold up and not break, right? So for example, think about insects that are running on the water, right? They're gently walking through that skin on the water to be able to get across the pond, lake, right? And that's the way that they're able to transport themselves through it. So this activity is a great example of a discrepant event, right? So a discrepant event is something surprising that doesn't match what we can expect. So it's something that catches us off guard, and you're just thinking like, wow, really? Like when we were doing it, I'm pretty sure in your mind you were like, oh wow, what happened there, you know? So these events are great for science because they get us to start thinking, asking questions, and wanting to learn more because it's interesting and it's something that you did not expect to happen, right? Even though we got a little bit of help from the tissue to keep it up, since, you know, if we try to put the needle by itself, it's going to keep sinking on its own. But it's interesting to be able to do all that and then have this little tiny needle still stay afloat without sinking. So now we're going to connect this science to our science standards, right? So this activity connects to Georgia Science Standard S3P1. And this standard is students will investigate how force and motion are affected by different surfaces and materials. So we're learning how surface tension and a property of water can create enough force to support an object, as you can see in our needle, right? So that's a perfect way this experiment connects to our standard. So now we're just going to wrap up and reflect. So I just want to say thank you for exploring science with me today and learning something new and something interesting. And as we're wrapping up, I want you to start reflecting within yourself and asking yourself, what surprised you the most, right? What questions do you still have, right? There's a lot of questions. You'd be like, can I do it without the tissue? Is it because the needle's smaller? Is it because you use bigger needles, right? It all takes into play. This is why we just start asking questions. And the cool thing about this 6 experiment is you can do it over and over again and have the same outcome, you know, and then maybe have like different things that you change to the experiment to test it, right? So now I would just want you to remember that science is all about being curious and looking for explanations in the world around us, because the world around us has so many things that have to be explored and learned from, and the only way we're going to do that is by having open minds and getting ourselves out there to explore and get these answers on ourselves or with our, you know, science buddies. So that is goodbye for now. Thank you for joining me on this experiment, and thank you for participating. I'm hoping I'm able to do another experiment with you guys sometime in the future. Bye-bye.